episode of the Bridge 360 Show. My name is Stephanie Odia. The Bridge 360 Show is a program that aims to provide useful information, bridging the communication gap between the public and government in providing critical infrastructure and economic development through its ministries, departments, and agencies. And our focus this week remains on the Transmission Company of Nigeria and its efforts to expand the national grid. We'll be back after the short break. Stay with us. The Transmission Company of Nigeria has completed many projects covering substations and lines in all regions of the country. The company, which is led by engineer Dr. Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, is committed to the full implementation of its NEDMA plan to expand and stabilize the national grid. The Bridge 360 Show will be highlighting some of these achievements, but we'll start by bringing to you the report on progressive works at a section of the transmission line in Akwa Ibom State. We all can recall the sad event of April 2022 when some of the transmission towers at Oku Iboku community in a two local government area of Akwa Ibom State were vandalized, with one of the vandalized towers collapsing, causing a sudden loss of 400 megawatts from the national grid. The national grid was quickly restored by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, and work began almost immediately to restore the vandalized tower. The vandalized tower has been reconstructed and is expected to be energized within a week to enable TCN to begin wheeling the stranded 400 megawatts from the Odupani power station. It was also discovered that apart from the vandalized tower that collapsed, other towers along the same route were also vandalized, requiring each of the affected towers to be reinforced to have a structural load balance. A ministerial delegation led by Engineer Victor Adewumi, the Executive Director TSP of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, visited the site to assess the progress of work done.
We were here about 3 weeks ago, and at that time we had promised that within 3 weeks we were able to re-erect this tower and then restring back the line and energize back the line. But at that time we didn't envisage that the integrity of the foundation, will be compromised. So we have to start from scratch, right from the foundation. If you can see, these are new tower foundations. In civil engineering, it takes time for concrete to cure. So by that art alone, we lost about 2 weeks because we have to start from the foundation stop, re-erect it, allow the foundation to cure before you can begin to put load on it. We didn't envisage that when we promised that we'll be able to restore back the line within 3 weeks. So we are here to see the extent of the work, even though we are monitoring from Abuja. So we want to see all the complaints, why the slippages. So we can see the tower is back, but there were challenges, during restringing. To fast track the restringing of the line, we had thought that if we use crane, using crane to lift up the conductors will be faster. That was why we told the contractor that no, you have to use crane. But unfortunately, by the time they brought what they thought was the biggest crane that has the longest boom to the site, the boom of the crane could not even get beyond the first, cross arms. So, and coupled with the fact that this is a very difficult terrain, we lost a lot of time. See, we are back to the normal way we want to do it. That is by lowering the conductor right from the tension tower. Because the tower you are seeing, they are just suspension tower. They are not designed to withstand load. So we have to start from the nearest tension tower to the other tension tower. And that is what the conductor is trying to do now, using rollers to bring the conductor up to the required height. It's not going to be easy. And that one, no matter how you try to fast track it, it takes time. Because you have to use rollers. And like the conductor tried to explain to you, if you are not careful, you might end up collapsing one tower because of the weight. So you have to balance the forces from one face at one end of the tower to another face at the other end. So with that, we want to tell the whole world that it's not as if, we are sleeping. It's not as if we are not doing the right thing. I can tell you that a GM is stationed here permanently. We asked the GM to leave Port Harcourt, that is his base, to come and personally supervise this job. So everybody is here working. But unfortunately, it is what it is. So we want to appeal to all the stakeholders that are involved. You can imagine losing more than 400 megawatts at Odukpani. So as we speak, Odukpani has the capacity to bring in more than 400 megawatts to the grid, but they are shut out because there is no other route for the power to be evacuated from Odukpani to the national grid. So unfortunately, that is what it is. So we want to appeal to all the stakeholders, the PHC, who are the owners of the Odukpani, whose generators are being stranded now, to the Port Harcourt disco, because they were here, and that was what the contractor is trying to explain, that they are putting a lot of pressure on him. Yes, because the whole of Calabar is out. There is no way the whole of Calabar, which happen to be within its own franchise area, be out of supply, and we keep quiet and remain comfortable in the office. So everybody is waiting for us to complete this line and then restore back power. So we are equally appealing to the whole of Akwa Ibom, Cross River State, because they are mainly affected. Akwa Ibom State, part of their area are equally affected. We are appealing to them to please be patient with us. We are doing everything to make sure that this tower is completed and supply gets back to the public. This is the highest point, of the land. Other towers you can see they are below. So meaning that the weight on this particular tower is much. That was the reason why the tower came down in the first place. So we have to be very, very careful so that we don't create more problems while trying to solve one. So this is the reason why we are appealing to the general public. It's very, very easy to destroy. It's very, very easy to damage, but always very, very difficult and challenging to build. I'm sure it doesn't take more than probably one day, vandalism for this tower to come down. But you can see how many weeks we have wasted trying to, rebuild back the tower, even using the fastest method. So we are appealing once again to the general public that all the critical infrastructures that passes through their area, they should take ownership. They should take ownership. 450 megawatts is not a joke. When we are saying we don't even have enough, then we have about 400 megawatts trapped. Odukpani is about 400 and something, capacity generating station, and they have gas as we speak. So meaning that they can generate even up to their full capacity. So you imagine the quantum of power that is being trapped now. So we are appealing to the general public to please take ownership of the critical infrastructures that are located within their community. It belongs to all of us as Nigerians. See, all of us, we are struggling now, because there is no power. But how can we have power if we have our critical infrastructures, tower members being vandalized all across the country? Not only here, north, east, west, everywhere. Tower members are being vandalized and removed. Some are not even for economic reasons, I can tell you. Some are equally outright sabotage. Look at what happened in Bauchi, for example, on our Bauchi-Gombe line. It's just because that tower it just 132 kV, and we have another route to route the power. That is why that one is not on the news. People went there, remove all the bolts and nuts. They didn't remove any tower members. So when you are passing the tower, you think that everything is okay. But during just small wind, the tower came down. We went there and discovered that the old boats and nuts are gone. So we can't continue like this in this country. We are not fair to the federal government. We are not fair to ourselves. Things that is meant to serve us, we are the ones sabotaging it ourselves. What we are doing is to engage the local communities where these towers and infrastructures are located. We engage them, we put them in our payroll so that they can help us. They might not be able to, catch the vandals, but when they see any untoward movement around those towers, they should call us, call the nearest substation. Then we know what to do. So that is one. But many a times, these vandals come at night. Who want to come here at night to come and watch a tower member? It's almost impossible. So what we are equally trying to do now is to see how we can deploy technology. It's going to be a very huge investment. That kind of money should be used better, to improve and expand the grid. But we are trying to see how we can use technology to monitor all the transmission lines. Nigeria is a very huge country, and we have our transmission line all over. Every part of this country has a power infrastructure. So deploying technology to monitor those lines will not be easy. It comes at a very huge cost. But we are seeing what we can do to see whether, at least before the vandalism takes place, whether we can be alerted. So we've seen a lot of contractors bringing their own proposal. So we are trying to study it. Even the Federal Ministry of Power is currently supervising us in that regard to see how we can deploy technology. We want to use some part of our line to carry out a kind of study.
I want to start by apologizing that this work couldn't be completed at the time we expected it to be. Not because we are not serious over the job, not because it's not affecting us, but because there are so many challenges that we faced when we start this job, just as my ED stated earlier. I want to start like this. If you look at my right hand, immediately here, after here, you see the swamp. Beyond the swamp is the river. Now, carefulness must be exercised, because if in the course of drawing this conductor, it slips, it goes straight to the swamp. We don't have divers that will dive to bring it out. And if the tension is very high, it can drag it towards the river, and that becomes the most dangerous one. So while we're trying to shift the conductors from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, we're taking this into consideration, so that as we are doing that, the conductor does not slip back to either the swamp or the river. How did we do that? We keep some equipment here to hold the conductors tight to some of the shrubs we found before we cut it out. Now, after using that technique to bring the conductors, some of them to the right-hand side, we are now faced with the condition of lifting the conductor. And that way, my headquarters was thinking, how fast can we do that? Bring crane. And we decided to bring crane. Now, when we brought the crane came. That same day, in the evening, it rained. Once it rained, the terrain is terribly bad. You can't do anything. In fact, as we tried to force the crane inside, it sunk. We left it there, had to go and bring another equipment to push it out. That one did not do anything. We sent that one back and go and bring another equipment, and we managed to drag it up to the tower footing. At the tower footing, trying to shoot out so that we can lift this conductor, we discovered that the boom cannot go high enough. That was one. Two, even if you want to lift it to half of the point, If you do that, because of the tension that is already exerted on the conductors, it will bring adjacent tower down. So it gave us another challenge. And we have to drop that idea and we now say, okay, the best solution now, because of this terrain, not as if we couldn't use the crane, but the terrain is too bad. So we have to devise another means of taking up the conductor by using pulleys. We have now attached some of the pulleys at strategic point, bringing down more conductors so that it will be easier to lift it without much tension on the tower. But I want to say this, that if this tower were to be intact, all this headache will not have it. If the wicked people, I call them wicked, because wicked in the sense that they have dragged us out from the office, we should have done other jobs. My ED has left the office because the minister said he should come here. Me, I have been here for the past 17 days. He said I should be here. There are other things we should do, but the wicked ones decided to bring these towers and bring these punishments onto us. To us, one can say we are paid to do that. But to people in Cross River State, they are suffering. They don't have lights. They don't have lights. In fact, the whole of last week, the Chinese company that produced steel, they were here almost crying because their customers are on them. They can't produce. There's no production. Yesterday, they called me, can they climb? I said, you cannot climb my tower because they are not secured. They are desperate to have supply, all because of the work of the wicked people. If they have not done this wickedness, we'll be having their power flowing. So I joined my ED to say, please, wherever we have these critical infrastructures, let everybody protect it. It is for us. It is not for them. It is for us. It is our thing. So anywhere we have this kind of infrastructure, let us rise up and protect it. If we guard against vandals, then we'll make sure that we have supply.
The executive director also visited some work centers in the Port Harcourt region.
This is a new work center. So by a new work center, we mean we now have staff permanently residing here, so that as problem occur, they can quickly respond to the force. Unlike when they are coming all the way from Calabar. So this place was created out of Calabar, and you can see most of the staff here are new. You can see them complaining that they don't have enough staff yet. They don't have accommodation. They are still squatting in the control room. But if you look over your shoulder there, you will see a new office that is under construction. So we have so many other stations that are under here, which they are covering. D2, where we are coming from. The transmission line that was vandalized is under them. The Eket substation is equally under them. So, but the work center is here itself. You can see you have 3x60 MVA transformer here. The three of them are all humming. So, meaning that the capacity of this substation is 180 MVA. So, if you multiply that by 0.8, that will tell you the megawatts you can deliver. That is 48 multiplied by 3. So it's a very big station. So this place can supply more, it has enough capacity to supply the whole of Uyo. Uyo is the capital of Akwa Ibom State. It's a city that is growing rapidly. So but what we have here now, we are confident that yes, even though Uyo is growing, we have enough capacity to meet the growth of Uyo City.
It is appalling, to say the least, that as the nation remains resolute with a quest for an improved and steady power supply, there are unpatriotic individuals hell-bent on sabotaging government efforts and throwing their fellow citizens into hardship through economic sabotage. Now imagine the very difficult terrain that needs to be assessed and all the associated risk, and the funds that should have been used into expanding the nation's grid is now being used to replace vandalized towers. However, it is unfortunate TCN is also not resting on its oars in finding a solution to the vandalism menace as it continues to collaborate with security agencies to fish out these vandals and bring them to book. Now, all TCN power infrastructures are our collective national assets, and as a citizen, it is a part of our civic responsibility to report activities of vandals around national assets to security agencies. So, whenever you notice strange loitering or activity by or around any transmission tower nationwide, please call the attention of any TCN office closest to you or the security agencies. The RTM of Port Harcourt region also spoke to us about the ongoing technical and civil works in the region, with some completed and others ongoing. Here's the interview.
A lot of job is being carried out by the President's management, not only in Port Harcourt region, but in nearly all the regions across the country. But I will attempt to mention a few in the Port Harcourt region. Number one I would like to mention is the completion of Port Harcourt Regional Office, which was abandoned for so many years. When the President MD came, he saw the plight of staff, and he awarded contract for the completion of that building. Now we're in the building, we have enough space, have a conducive environment to work with. Now, away from that, we are rehabilitating a 75 MX reactor at Adiabo. And we're also rehabilitating a 150 MVA transformer, 330s to 132s to 33 kV, to 33 kV transformer at Odupangi. Now, the work of the reactor is to ensure that we have voltage control. Now, the transformer has been completely rehabilitated by in-house engineers. Another work we have done in-house is a work on the burnt control room at AFAM, where our staff take up that work, and it's a fantastic job. Very soon we'll put that control room to use. So those are the rehabilitation jobs that I can mention. That others, I want to mention those three. Currently, we are installing another reactor at Ikodekbene switching station. Every government property is our property. So my plea to everybody that's listening to me and listening to my company, TCN, is that let us begin to see TCN equipment as our own personal equipment, because without it, we cannot get supply.
And with that, this is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of the Bridge 360 Show. Do make it a day with us on this channel, same time next week. Please follow us on our various social media handles. We would appreciate your likes and comments. Now, we've also made this package available in other major languages such as Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa for your viewing pleasure. The information displayed on your screen tells you where and when they air. My name is Stephanie Odia, and bye for now.